What's up, everyone? It's been 5 years. I pulled up my last video, and it was 5 years ago with a whopping 48 views. So thanks, guys. I had an interview scheduled for today. Unfortunately, it was postponed for next week, but I had everything set up. So I was like, you know what? Let me just try to do what I did before, or what I used to do, in case you're one of the, I think, 15 subscribers that were fans back then. What I did was I basically got the market information. I just broke it down, and I kind of did what I was good at, which is technical analysis. And I just kind of like said what I thought for that day. I didn't do that many videos. I only did like 30, 36 videos, give or take. But it was fun. But I want to dedicate myself now to doing something similar, but more focused on Bitcoin. Back then, I would still talk about Bitcoin, but I was a little hesitant about it. And I want to make sure that other people kind of learn about Bitcoin. It's a really interesting asset, but the gist of it is that I think it benefits most people. And I just think a lot of people need to spend a little more time, be open-minded, and I think they'll come to appreciate what Bitcoin has to offer. But anyways, enough of that. What I wanted to do today was kind of review real quick Bitcoin and a little bit of the Bitcoin proxies, especially the newly announced from Jack Mallers 21. I think it's 21 or 21 Capital. I'm not sure. And basically take it from there. So let's just start. So this video from 5 years ago, I was let me see here. So Bitcoin had just dropped to just under 5,000. $5,000 per coin. That is so crazy when today we're looking at 95,500 per coin. 95,000 to 5,000 in 5 years. It's nuts. Yeah, that was 5 years ago. So let's go to today. We're on a daily chart. We're looking at Bitcoin's had a pretty good move from, let's see, that would be a 20, almost a 30% move, which in any ordinary market is kind of mind-blowing. In Bitcoin, it's kind of, it's like a Tuesday. The funny thing about Bitcoin is that it's exciting, but it's not, most of the year it's kind of boring. It just grinds. It's either grinding flat or it grinds a little downwards, which is never fun. And then it has these explosive moments, which is only a handful of days a year. So you better be locked in, you're in your position, and you're just writing it. So what I think most people should do is not even look at charts. I mean, I love looking at charts just because it's in me. I really enjoy it. But the best thing most people can do is just set up DCA. You go to Strike, River, one of these places, and you just set, hey, I want to buy $10 a day, or I want to buy $20 a week, or I want to buy $100 a month, and it just automatically does it for you. I think that's the best move to do for financial markets. If you want to go into the S&P 500, if you want to go into the NASDAQ, the traditional Roth, just set it up, make it automatic. Or nowadays we have the ETFs, the Bitcoin ETFs, and you just, I don't know if you can actually automate the BTF purchases, but you can automate the transfer in, and you just got to manually buy the Bitcoin ETF. That's up to you. I think it's a good idea to do it. I do it in my Roth. I think it's just long term. It just makes sense to do it, especially in a Roth where you can actually withdraw tax free at the end of whenever your time of retirement is. But anyways, currently we're at 95,600. Can it go down? Maybe. I would never short Bitcoin, in my opinion. I would hedge against it if you had a significant position and you have access to options or futures market, and you want to kind of hedge your position if you have a significant amount. You could try that. I would mess with your spot position. Personally, I just wouldn't do it. Right now, we're at the top on the daily chart. We're at the top of that channel. It's hard to go all in here, but you can wait for a small pullback. Let's see if it pulls back. If there's any kind of, on the 4-hour, it looks like we have a bearish divergence. We have the price going up, but then some indicators here, both RSI and the MACD, are pointing down. So we could probably pull back. Where? I don't know. The most logical part is probably like 20. I wish it was 20. 90, I would say like 92,000, give or take. Makes sense. That's where the 20 period moving average of the 4-hour is about 90, just under 93. There's a little volume pocket here. If you want to wait for that, you could do it. The 50 is down here at 88, and the 200 for the 4-hour is all the way down at 85, just under 85,000. Could it get there? Yeah. I don't know. If you're buying, just buy. I would just buy. The 1 hour chart on it looks a little interesting. Let's see. But we have the same thing. We have price going up, and then we have MACD and the RSI still kind of giving us a bearish divergence. So I think most likely in the short term, we're probably going to be touching that 90, at the very least 93. There's a good chance it'll go to 92,000. But anyways, what I wanted to really I just brought that up because why not? We're talking about Bitcoin. But I'm really interested in this whole announcement by Jack Mallers because what they're doing is essentially a really focused strategy or MicroStrategy. If you don't know MicroStrategy, they are a Michael Saylor led company. Even though he's not the CEO now, he's just, I forgot what his position is. I think he's just on the board essentially, but he's the figurehead. He's the main guy. The actual operations of the business, it's got to be tiny. It's got to be just a couple $100 million, which, yeah, I know for most people that's not a tiny company, but in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty tiny. They really have turned into a Bitcoin treasury company or a Bitcoin operations company or whatever they call themselves now, an LBO, I think it is, leverage Bitcoin operations or something like that. Anyways, 21 is interesting because it's a company that's dedicated to just increasing the Bitcoin per share. So that's really, really interesting because it doesn't have the operations side that MicroStrategy or strategy has. It's really hard to say which one's superior, which one's not. I wouldn't bet against Michael Saylor. If you've never seen his videos, definitely take a look at any of his interviews. They're fantastic. They're great. The guy's smart. He's a rocket scientist, I believe. I'm pretty sure he went to MIT and he studied to be a rocket scientist. So maybe some of his lingo and terminology might go over a lot of people's heads. If you listen to a few of his videos, I think it'll resonate. If it doesn't, you can actually see some of Jack Mallers. He's got a ton of content. He's got a weekly podcast that comes out on Mondays. They're great. He explains kind of like what's going on in the last week or so in Bitcoin, and he does a good job. And it's interesting that he's the one that's going to be a CEO of both Strike and 21. So he comes from a good lineage of people that understand this world. So even though he's young, he's very knowledgeable. I also wouldn't bet against Jack. I think he does a great job. I think you can, if you're bullish on Bitcoin proxies, you can have both. Why not? There's more than them. There's Semler, there's Genius, which Genius is a little, it's a little tricky. Let's put it that way nowadays. There's KULR, I believe. There's a couple of them. But at the end of the day, what really differentiates 21 from these other ones is that they have no underlying operating business other than to accumulate Bitcoin for you, the shareholder. So the shareholder here is essentially the customer. All these other businesses have operations and it kind of distracts them a little bit. So it's really up to you. So I was having a little bit of I hadn't seen this video from Jack Mallers, but I was trying to figure out like how many outstanding shares there were because the current ticker CEP shows that they have 256 million shares. But when you do the math here, it comes out like they have, I think it's 42,000 Bitcoin on the treasury, and you divide that by 0.000111783. And that gives you 356,445,726 shares. So 356 million shares, which gives us 11,783 sats per share. So what does that mean? How do we USD this? We USD this by going to a simple USD converter, and currently we're looking at about 11,783 sats is about $11 a share. So let's see what the multiple is. If we go to CEP, which is the current ticker for 21, we're looking at $34 a share. So we're just over 3x multiple, or in strategy terms, like a 3x mNAV. Now, strategy is a little bit lower. So strategy is currently at $366 per share price. And that gives you about diluted. I like diluted because that way it's just not, there's no, it's like worst case scenario. So we're looking at 2.2 the mNAV. So it's cheaper to buy strategy, even though the stock price is higher at $366 per share. It has a mNAV of 2.2. 21 is currently, oops, keep flipping back and forth. Sorry, 34. So it has an mNAV of like 3 point something. So you're looking at 11.2 times 3 point. It's basically almost exactly 3 times mNAV. So 21 is a 3x mNAV. Strategy is a 2.2 mNAV with completely diluted. It's actually a little bit less if you do non-diluted, but I like diluted. So bang for the buck, you can say strategy does it. It's kind of hard to say. Um, and we're not really truly comparing apples to apples because strategy also has an underlying business and you got to value that in somehow. It just depends on how you want to value it. But if we just go straight mNAV right now, that's what looks cheaper to me, strategy. Now, if I still have the chart on the screen, and I apologize, I know this is not the cleanest video, but work with me. I'm trying to get better. And hopefully this is good practice for that interview. I think that interview you're going to like. So subscribe if you haven't, because I think that's going to be an interesting one. If you're a Bitcoiner or if you're interested in Bitcoin, I think my interview that's coming up, hopefully filming it on Friday, coming out whenever I finish editing, which I don't really edit. So it'll probably be a day or two, I would hope. Could be a week max. But just stay tuned for that. But going back to this, if 21 is able to hit this Fibonacci of 61.8 or lower, I think that's a buy, honestly. Anything under 22 makes sense, especially under 20. If you're able to get that 20, if we're able to fill in, this is on a 1 hour chart, so it's not much. But if we're able to get to this little gap and close it, which most likely we will, especially if Bitcoin has a little bit of a dip, I expect 21 to be pretty volatile. I expect it to be more volatile than strategy because it has a smaller market cap. I could be wrong, but I think it just makes sense. It was basically what happened to strategy, right? Strategy when I think it was at a $1 billion market cap when it was, it was kind of extremely volatile back then. And it's kind of settled down, but it's still volatile. But I expect 21 to be way more volatile because it just has Bitcoin as the underlying. And I don't think it has options yet. I don't think there's any options registered. I think that'll come up soon. And that's going to be nuts. So if you like the strategy options, I think the 21 strategy, 21 going to be just as crazy as that. But I think this little gap can get filled and it'll be under 20. At that point, it's a no-brainer. Again, nothing I'm talking about is financial advice. This is just me talking, just talking. Speak to your financial advisor, speak to whoever you need to speak with to make any investment decisions. If you like more about Bitcoin, if you like to hear about Bitcoin strategy, 21, basically all the Bitcoin proxies, the ETFs, and that kind of thing, I'm going to try to make this channel about that. I own a small business, so I'm going to blend in small business with Bitcoin and see if there's see what I can kind of bring in from a business owner's perspective, investing my personal funds. Just give you my perspective. And that's it. Now, hopefully it resonates with some people and you guys can tag along. And I promise that these videos are going to get better. Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon.